So I'm just down here in No Carp Corner on Selby. And there's certainly a lot of carp in No Carp Corner right now. Got at least 10, 12 fish just sat out here. And then there's 2 or 3 fish just right in this little reed line. 2 of them went down on the bottom, absolutely erupted. Now we have to find a way to catch them. So yeah, welcome to Selby Syndicate, episode 3. So I've just dropped a little bit of bait out, just with the spoon where those fizzers were coming up. Just seeing how these carp are reacting. These ones haven't really spooked. The idea is, it's one of those where if I do hook a fish in here, it's probably going to ruin it. So I might not set up for the night in this swim. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the pole. I've got 4 rods with me, I always carry 4. And 2 are already set up on adjustables. If I was to throw a lead out in amongst these now, we'd definitely be gone. So I'm going to drop an adjustable zig out with the pole, just up the back of them here. I know it's about 14, 15 foot here. And then I'm going to drop one on a bottom rig, just on these bubblers, and then just see if we can nick a bite. If we can get an early bite, and these fish do look like they're going to move in, then I might be tempted to sit in here for the night. 2 rods. There's a nice margin spot over there that I'll have to use the baiting spoon for. Just show you. That should do a fish if they stay down here. But if not, there's fish showing on the bar there, so I can jump into the swim next and maybe just keep my eye on this for the morning time. But at the moment they just look really happy, just milling around, so fingers crossed we can nab a quick bite and then maybe keep them in the area, just slowly pick them off. So I've moved up swims now. Those fish in the corner, they were just sort of, yeah, mulling around. Didn't seem up to much. To be honest, I think they're probably fish that have just been caught in the last week or 2. Probably down there just skulking. They looked like they were sulking about anyway. So, but I give it an hour and a half. Had a zig out, dropped the zig out with the baiting spoon, just so there was very minimal disturbance, and then I just dropped a little rig in the corner on the bottom, just over a little bit of bait I'd put out to see if they spooked. But I think there were a bit of sort of tench activity down there in the weed bed. So yeah, I've leapfrog up. There's fish boshing over the bar. I've jumped in twin oaks, and while I've been stood here, there's fish coming out this corner, moving round and going straight into the bar. And incidentally, the fish that are in that corner do keep moving up and coming round here. So I'm going to pump one under the island in the slightly shallower water, one on the edge of the bar on the bottom, and then I'm just going to put an adjustable zig out onto sort of where the pads are ending on the tip of the bar, because I do keep seeing fish move about. I have marked it up at back of there, just about to drop one on the bait, but yeah, I'm on that sort of 4 or 5 foot mark at the minute. There is another guy fishing opposite me, but to be fair, yeah, it shouldn't really affect them, but just don't feel comfortable down there to sit it out for the night. It is one of those spots where when they get in there, you can get a quick bite, but they soon move out and they're gone. So sort of a one bite peg. One rod, to be fair, there's a good spot in there, but you literally cut the rest of the peg off. So I feel more comfortable in here doing the night. If I do keep swanning down there and seeing them, I can soon pick a rod up and just go and have an hour for them. So yeah, I'm gonna go get some bait out and chuck these rods out on these marks, then get settled. Right then guys, so I'm finally settled in a swim. Well, I'm not settled because I've got all the temptations to move again. The fish have headed that way and gone and sat in a swim known as the steps. But I am trying to sit on my hands and not chase these fish around because it has, yeah, led to an issue or two on my last session. And I stupidly moved out of a swim. I got the swim right. I was really fancying getting in the swim. I had 36 hours at my disposal for the first time, and I thought, you know, I fancy a long session down here for once. There were fish coming out, they're moving around, these 30s have to come out, and I popped down midweek, got stuck in, kept walking round, but I just wanted, my head was set on one swim. It just looked good, it looked good for a bite, looked good for a big one, and we always know that this time of year it does throw a bigger fish up. I got in the swim. By the time I'd got my rods out, it was 8-9 o'clock. I was messing around, walking around the lake. I don't know why. When your heart's set on something, you should just probably, you know, go with your instinct. But I hadn't actually seen fish in here. It was just one of those things where you just feel like, you know, that they're going to be there. There's going to be a big fish out of this swim, and I just didn't settle. And when I'd finally got sorted, the lad 2 swims up from me had 2 quick takes in succession, and I came around and photographed him a 29-pound common. But then throughout the night I just repeatedly saw them boshing over the main bar in where this lad was himself. So my head was then telling me all night long, I've picked the wrong swim, I should have got near where these fish were. And then incidentally in the morning the chaps come round to me and basically said he was leaving early, he was going a day early, and the fish were all over him, he was still getting liners. So I stupidly got up and moved. I just can't sit still half the time. But you know, I was still confident down there, but I moved. So I've ended up moving, just got all the rods sorted out, and then a syndicate member had got snagged up on some of the lily roots. So he'd gone out in the boat, disturbed this area and 3 or 4 pegs around it, and it just seemed to stop. We didn't see another fish. And later on that evening, another syndicate member has come down that I've known for quite a while and jumped in the swim that I was in just 12 hours before. And you know what's going to happen. 5 o'clock the next morning, he's come round to my bivvy and asked me to take a picture of one of the lake's biggies at 35 pound and a fish that I've never had. So I'm not saying that I would have caught it, I'd have been fishing the exact same spot or whatever, you know, but my instincts were right, you know, it was going to do a big fish and I should have stuck to it. And so then for the rest of the session, your head goes up your backside and your confidence sort of blows out. So I packed in the session early, finished off, limping off home and just feeling really sorry for myself. So really glad I was part of the taking the photograph of the fish for the member, you know, no animosity there whatsoever. I just should have stuck to my guns. I was in the right swim at the right time for one of those 30s. So I haven't been down since. So that was the start of April, and then Easter holidays kicked in and we went off with the family for a couple of days, and then I spent last week down at Esney. So this is my first time back on, and bizarrely last week absolutely kicked off. There's been numerous 30s out, tons of 20s out, loads of fish coming out all over. Got me all excited, and then the last 2 nights, knowing that I was going to come Wednesday, which it's Wednesday tonight, knowing I was going to get a session on Wednesday, so I've had a lot on at work. The last 2 nights have been absolutely freezing, down to -1. The last 2 mornings I've woke up, I've been heavy frost, even ice on the van yesterday morning, and I believe it's going to get down to 0, possibly -1 tonight. Awesome. So yeah, I've probably picked the worst time. So there haven't been a fish out for the last 2 days, but they are moving around, and I now think if I just stick to my guns, I've got every opportunity to try and nail a fish off this bar tonight. So I'm going to try and hold out tomorrow till about 8-9 o'clock, try and get into bite time. The spring and summer bite time period seems to have kicked in now. But yeah, fingers crossed. Some of those fish out that corner are going to move back up this bar, so I don't have to move on them for a change, and we're going to nab one. So those fish never made it over here last night. I think there's a few still over there, but the majority of them from about 6 o'clock started to move on the far side of the bank. And I think what they've done, they've gone through the first cut through back into Lake 3. A lot of these fish were sat in Lake 3 last week. Lake 3 is connected to this side by 2 cuts. I've got one on my bank and there's one on that bank. So last week when a lot of the fish were coming out, they'd started to come out of Lake 3, and so much pressure got put on that over the weekend. These few pegs have been left, and this is where we found them. So there was only 2 anglers really, myself and another lad over there, that have really found them down here, and we left that bank free to allow the bit of pressure. Now he's in the point swim, which to be fair is an ideal swim to fish to them, because you can push them into the corner and just get them as they're coming, trying to come back out. And with the amount of fish there yesterday, especially that I saw on the drone, you'll see that footage, I reckon that was the sort of best peg, and sure enough they did start moving out there. Don't know how he reacted to him, that's down to him, but I sort of set up off the side of him. I'm only 30 yards from the group of fish, laid on the bar where I would expect them to come if they was going to come back through this cut through. So that was the plan of attack. But I still think there's fish over there, and I'm going to get over there this morning. I'm going to give myself an extra 5 or 6 hours this morning. I'm going to try and leave about dinner time. Extra 5 or 6 hours, and I'm probably just going to fish 2 zigs. Just something to try and get a quick bite. I'm not bothered if I'm going to push them out there now. You know, my session here this week's done, and I think a big group of them's definitely gone. You know, but I'll get down there, a couple of zigs probably, and just see if I can winkle one out. I did see the odd fish come up side of this bar, but it was at the opposite side of the bar. So I reckon they've they've gone up that side as a majority. Lad at side of me, he's not had anything either. So, and it was freezing last night, absolutely freezing. So I think this, if they've just dropped, they might have just literally dropped. And if this bit of sun just gets out and pops them back up, they should be visible again and hopefully catchable. But the birds have just started diving on all my spots. This is the problem with this. I didn't actually put one of the rods out till last thing last night. The one into the hole, because it just gets absolutely tortured. But as you can see, the tufties are here in, the tufties are here waking up this morning, getting ready. And that cut through there is duck heaven, so they love it. So I ain't going to sit it out getting picked up. I've already had a bird diving over my spot this morning. I'm going to give it literally another hour in this peg while I pack my gear away. I'm going to scoot round there and have 5 or 6 hours over there. So I will see you over in that peg soon. And here I am. So this is steps, and this is exactly where the fish were last night. From the peg at the side of me, draw a box, and they're all sat in this box. So I don't think there is nowhere near the amount of fish in here. There's definitely still the odd one or two lingering around. As I say, I think they've gone straight through that cut as opposed to the cut up the side of me. And I reckon if I'd have been rounding Lake 3 this morning, I'd have seen some first light. They do like it up that end, especially in the morning. You know, from my other vlogs, that's where dugout, birches, things like that is, where I've had success, and they will flip through. But I've got no option to fish in there. There's, as I say, it's been a very busy side of the lake. I've obviously got a guy in point. They are very close. We're fishing this way, but it is a fishable swim. So plan of attack is, I've got 5 or 6 hours. I'm probably going to put a bottom rod on that margin. I might look at a bag, but you get plagued by tension. It's a shallow margin and you always find tension there. I can guarantee you the first bite on a bag is going to be a tension. Now with 5 or 6 hours and probably very few fish left in here, I don't want to go spooking them. And then straight out towards his bivvy, where the big group were coming off the shelf, I'm going to put a zig. I'm going to set that zig about 3 to 4 foot down, and then I'm going to put a zig straight out in front, about the same range and same distance. And yeah, so that's my plan for the last 5 or 6 hours. I'm up before everyone else. I don't even think it's 6:30 yet, and I'm already moved and done. So it's just a little bit of plodding away, a couple of coffees, bit of work to do on an email, so I've got something to keep my hands occupied instead of wanting the temptation of casting around and chasing them. But yeah, always get up first. Right, let's get at them. First rod's going out. They're obviously going to be 2 adjustable zigs. Now, there definitely ain't the amount of fish out here as what I thought there was going to be. Probably seen 3, 4. There's still fish here. I think just as this sun gets up, they might mooch back. And I'm not sure whether they have just disbanded all over the lake, or they've moved off in a group, or whether they've just sunk down into the depths. So I'm going to start these zigs mid-depth instead of the top third for now. And then over the next couple of hours, I'm just going to nip them up. I'm going to put one on a black, and then I'm going to put one on a brown. So one's going on the black candy stick, the squid and pepper, and the other one's going on a brown crayfish. As you can see, I've got quite a lot of already pre-trimmed, pre-soaked bits of candy stick, and I do that just to keep in my zig box for floaters and zig work, especially if you're just doing it like ad hoc and, you know, just a couple of hours here and there. Like this morning, you know, I've got a couple of hours left. It's opportunist fishing, so I have an opportunist tub, and that's exactly what I'll be doing. So there you go. Piece of black candy stick, trimmed down, mounted to a size 8 curve. Another good old adjustable. So I'm going to put 2 of these out, and then I'm going to put a hinge stiffy on a single bug pop up on that margin. No bait around it, don't want no tension. We'll see how we go. And coffee number 2 time. I ain't seen anybody else get up yet, so it's like having the whole lake to yourself. Give this swim a good 4 or 5 hours now, and it's just getting on that pack up time for me. It's midday, just hitting 12 o'clock, so I've got to hit the road. Don't think them fish are over here now. I definitely think they've gone over into the other lake, Lake 3 over there. Odd 1 or 2 fish I've seen cruising through, and I've worked these zigs best I can, but yeah, nothing really to go off in here at the minute. After that big shoal here yesterday, I thought a few of them would have lingered back, but it's obvious that they're on the move. Seen a couple on the bar where I fished last night, but you can see that they're moving and heading on out. It's rotor change today, so it works on a weekend rotor. So your midweeks, you can fish any midweek you want, but Thursday dinner time to Sunday dinner time is rotor. So you're getting all the rotor members coming on. It is actually my rotor this weekend, but as I've said before, if I've got a period of time at my disposal on a weekend, I tend to trip off somewhere else. So try and get the odd weekend in now and again if I can, but it's going to get very busy. Last weekend, tons and tons of fish out. over the last week and last weekend. I think that's what's just put a lot of these fish on edge. They're just looking for a bit of comfort. But that inevitably makes the lake even busier. It's been the busiest winter I've ever seen. But now you're getting into springtime, you're seeing, you know, there's 12 anglers on at the minute. So there was no other fish out on the lake whatsoever last night. So it's, you know, don't feel as bad. I moved on to what I thought could have been fish this morning to try and nick a bite, but it's just not worked for me on this occasion. But yeah, the more I'm watching them, the more I'm watching the habits, the more I'm learning, the more I'm understanding, and the closer you're always getting to tripping them up. Saw some of the big fish yesterday as well in this area. The big common looks at definitely well into upper 30s, which is expected. You know, we are really expecting that fish to go 40. Saw him down here, so yeah, it was good to see him moving about. But as I said, now there's a few more anglers come on, and they've literally surrounded me in this area, so any chance of fish moving back into here, I could have given it a few hours this afternoon, but I just don't think that all the line pressure going in, people just turning up, all the recasting is going to do me any favours whatsoever. So it's time for me to pack up and figure out when I'm coming down on the next session. So I'm going to try and plan it around a little bit of weather now. Try and get on a few of these lower pressures. It's a beautiful day today, you know, really nice and carpy, but the pressure is pretty high and the fish are enjoying the sun. So I'll see you on the next session, hopefully with a fish or two on the bank. If not, I'll be at least another step closer to getting one.